on the 240. Evan is over here welding up the inner tubs that we've created for the front to reseal those wheel wells. That's a lot of welding, guys. So if you're gonna tackle this yourselves, make sure you're prepared to do a ton of welding. And as if that wasn't enough welding, we also have our rear subframe here that we're dying to send off to powder coat. But before we do that, we actually went ahead and ordered up a GKTech S14 subframe gusset kit. Now this is a pre-fabbed and pre-bent, has nice little dimple dies in it already, straight from GKTech. And basically what this does, if you can see the yellow areas on the subframe, that's where I have to sand the original OEM finish off the subframe. Now it is upside down at the moment. This would be the bottom of the subframe, the top is against the table. And just to give you guys an idea of what these do, so this is one of the main differential gusset plates, and so essentially these go onto the subframe like that, and then this one goes onto the subframe like this, and these get welded into place. And what this does is provides more structure for the differential. These are the differential mounts here at the back side of the diff. This would be the back of the car, that would be the front of the car. That is the drive shaft loop cut out for the drive shaft to go through. And then all of these mounts here, these are all of our suspension pickup points on the subframe. And so they've created a little dimple die plate, no, that's the wrong side, for each one of these. So these will all get welded in, and these just get stitch welded into place. But as you can see, it's gonna make for a pretty stout little unit. And that one gets welded in there. And we've got heaps of these things all over the place. So this one gets welded in here with some plug welds in the holes. And then I guess there's one more for this side, and it goes down here. And I think that is the camber arm, I'm not sure, provision there. So as you can see, every one of the pickup points on the subframe gets a gusset, and then also the differential gets a real nasty looking gusset plate as well, which is cool because this is actually potentially visible from the back of the car. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this all sanded down so Evan can come over and just burn all these welds in and get this going. If this was a one-man job, it would take probably a few hours, but I'm gonna go ahead and help him out here. If you guys are gonna do this to your S13 or I guess R32 or a few other chassis that GKTech provides these kits for, they do have a how-to video, and they actually have a lot of really good how-to videos on all their products. So if you are going to use GKTech products, you can rest well knowing that they do have the support that you need right on YouTube. This is not going to be a how-to video. This is going to be a we're doing this video. So you can follow along, pick up whatever pointers you can, but if you're looking for the real in-depth stuff, head over to GKTech on YouTube. So the tools I'm going to use for this job are a handy dandy grinder, a nice old school flapper disc, potentially a cutoff wheel. I don't think we'll need this, but I have it just in case. And then my 3M face shield has respirator built in and face shield. So shout out to 3M for keeping my eyes and lungs safe. And I'll probably end up throwing on a pair of ears as well, just to keep my ears from ringing, because this is a lot of grinding I'm about to do. I'm basically going to trace around all these yellow lines. So this is just the bottom of it. There's a lot more that has to get done. But in order to get a good weld, we want to clean up the surface. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. You guys can follow along.
What's going on, guys? I'm going to be taking over this project here on the rear subframe for Mickey. Mickey got it all prepped up for me. Now one thing, if you're noticing that I can't really talk, it's because I just had a crown done on my mouth. So I literally just came from the dentist, but I really want to get this project wrapped up today. So I've got my Lincoln welder all set up, and I actually have my M Furic cup all set up here with some freshly sharpened tungsten. I'm going to do my best not to dip the tungsten today. I've got my filler rod, and we've got this all mocked up. So the first thing I'm going to do is set a tack weld basically in a couple different places on all of the components. I want to make sure I have everything placed. And then before we do any of the finishing welding, I need to kind of mock up the Heim joints in here just to make sure that none of the geometry of the suspension of this rear subframe is changing. So this is a really, really nice kit, and the instructions are actually really, really thorough too. So huge thank you to GKTech. I'm excited to put this in, and let's see how it looks. Alright, so I just finished tacking everything up. Just have a couple tacks on each, and everything actually went pretty smoothly. The exception of these ones here, it has a little bend on the fixture. So when I go ahead and tack this side, or just a clamp, little clamp, but everything else looks pretty good. These spots here on the back of the subframe where the diff mounts, this is actually probably going to be seen. So I'm going to work on all the other spots first, just so my practice is right. Oh, there you go.
Keep me around for a reason, right?
Mickey's got the right tool for this. Just clamp that down, and boom. Probably should have had that the first time around. Okay, so the issue here is that when you go ahead and you weld all the way around, or you do the rosette welds and then continue welding in stitch welds, you don't want any of the bracketry or any of the geometry of the factory subframe to tighten up, or I guess widen out. So what they recommend doing is basically putting in a spacer in there that's the right width, and that way your geometry stays the same. So I'm going to try to find something. In the meantime, actually I'm going to have to do everything. I thought I could do some of the other ones, but it looks like I might have to find spacers for pretty much everything. So let me check back in with you guys in just a minute. Okay, so I just found some random hardware and rigged up this little thing here, this little spacer. So there's really just a tiny, tiny hair gap here now, and this is bolted down snugly. So now when I weld, this will maintain its position, and I'm gonna transfer this to the next section that I weld and continue that process all around the subframe. So let's go ahead and start with this one here. I'm gonna just wire wheel this one more time, make sure everything is nice and clean, and look at the instructions, and we'll go ahead and stitch weld this. Basically 1 inch on, 1 inch off, 1 inch on, 1 inch off, or some configuration of that. So I'll set you guys on a time lapse, and let's get it done. Alright, so the second one is all mocked up. So let's go ahead and we're gonna burn the rosette weld in. So let's see if I can still do this. Alright, 2 down, a lot more to go.
It's a busy day over here at the hunt quarters today. I got Ricky back there cutting. I got Evan back here welding. We got all kinds of stuff going on. Helen's over there working on the Black Sheep rotary car. Ricky, you can go ahead and cut. It's okay. They're used to noise, aren't you guys? Subject at hand today is our SR20 engine for the throtl 240 project behind me, which is going to be going off the paint in the coming days here. It's time to move our attention over to the engine and start stripping it down so we can clean it up and start adding the new parts that have all started rolling in already. It's really exciting around here every day. It's like Christmas. So as I was saying, we got a bunch of parts that have started to come in for this, including our Garrett Turbo, which is super awesome. I'll show you guys that later. We need to go ahead and get this thing undressed and ready for all the new parts, and then we can start cleaning the block and everything as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and start taking it apart today. This will probably be a little bit of a lengthy process, so get ready for the time lapse.
Okay, a couple hours have passed. The subframe is now complete. So everything is welded. It's supposed to be welded. Did my best. It looks pretty good. I'm pretty happy with a lot of these welds. Some of them obviously not perfect. But I will say this thing is solid now. Now that it has all these new gusseted plates in here. This thing is gonna be plenty strong. I don't think there's any weak points or anything's gonna crack or anything like that. And these plates are definitely not falling off, so that's awesome. I'm gonna hand the camera back over to Mickey and he'll close this one out.
All right guys, so I told you earlier that we were gonna give you a little sneak peek at the new turbo. So I went ahead and came in the office, pulled it aside so that you guys could check it out. It's a pretty nice piece from Garrett. Shout out to the boys over there for looking out for us on this one. It's not as big as it looks in the camera. It's actually a wee little unit.
That's what she said.
But it's bigger than the turbo that's on the motor, and this one is good for upwards of 400 horsepower, which we won't be accomplishing. But it does have the T3 flange. It bolts right onto the stock manifold. We are going to have to create our own intercooler piping for this. It does not have the provisions for the factory neck to be bolted on, but it will use the ISR downpipe that we previously had gotten from ISR to our exhaust system that we previously had that we're probably going to end up modifying and make it a little more hot boy. But just wanted to show you guys this. It is an internally gated turbo, so we are going to have to come up with some sort of mount for the wastegate actuator that opens this, and we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But all in all, this is a badass piece, and I'm excited to get it on the car and functioning. And honestly, the plumbing, being that this Garrett actually made the turbo for the SR20s, this center cartridge looks very similar to what is on the stock turbo, and I think we'll actually be able to utilize the stock hardlines for the oiling and the water that run to these orifices here on the turbo. So that's a good thing. So yeah, shout out to the boys at Garrett. Thank you so much for the amazing part that one of you guys is going to get to take home on the 240SX when we give it away. If you guys aren't already entered to win the 240SX, we are giving it away in just a few short weeks. We've got a lot of work to do still, but do yourselves a favor, head on over to Throtl, sign up to become a VIP, or go to our merch store, buy some merchandise or parts. Every $5 you spend gets you one entry to win the car. I look forward to one of you guys taking this thing home and handing you guys the keys. So yeah, go do your part.